Hello and welcome to the Kanawha Valley Hustlers podcast. I am here in Hurricane today, a little outside of the Kanawha Valley into Taze Valley, but I am here with Andy. And Andy, I want you to tell me, buddy, what's your hustle?
I run the Zoology Zone Science Center right here in Valley Park.
The Zoology Zone Center, I think there's probably lots of people that don't know that a place like this is even around in West Virginia at all. Tell me a little bit about what you have here.
So this all started as a reptile and amphibian rescue, and we're the only one in the state right now, but this has morphed into a really cool educational facility for families to come in, enjoy, see these animals, and all the animals that we have on exhibit here are all rescued and rehabilitated. So we get to talk about their science, but also their rescue story as well.
How did this place come to be? How did you get involved in this, and what brought all of this together?
Well, I think it really started with my parents. Both my parents were educators, and my dad started the first herpetology program in '86. I was born in '85.
Wait, hold on. Herpetology? Say that again?
Yes, herpetology.
What is herpetology?
So herpetology is the study of reptiles and amphibians. So that's where my love for science and these animals really kind of flourished. So when I started teaching science myself in the classroom, I started my own herpetology program, and it just grew from there.
So you started out primarily as a science teacher, and you took that kind of passion and that ambition, and you've turned it into this science center. Is that right?
Right. Yeah. And after the military, I came back and went into law enforcement, and had an opportunity to teach, and never looked back. And I'm actually back in the classroom teaching next year at Taze Valley Christian High School. So I'm teaching high school science next year and running this place.
That's great. Now, it looks like to me, by the size of this place, you probably don't do it alone. Am I right on that?
I have an amazing staff, and we're continuing to grow. That's the goal, is for this to continue to grow for our community. We are definitely for the community, by the community. So I've got a great staff that has been able to continue the mission, and we're growing and wanting to grow even more with our board of directors. We've got lots of different phases of programming that we're wanting to add. So this place is just taken off.
That's great. And now you just recently had a bit of a town hall where you kind of laid out some of your plans moving forward. Can you tell me a little bit about what you do have planned moving forward?
So most recently, we have announced a Valley Con, which is like a pop culture convention that we're going to have here as a big fundraiser that we're having. So we're making this big, really neat thing for people of all walks of life, all inclusive family fun, that just encompasses all kinds of stuff right over here at the conference center. So that's a big fundraiser. We have an alligator exhibit that we are working on over the next 3 years that will turn this entire front yard into swampland, essentially. So it will be one big Everglades exhibit that will house our American alligators that are rescues. But this whole place is going to be transformed over the next 5 years. We have plans to invest more than $4.5 million through grants, sponsorships, major gift donors, and more right here in the Valley.
Wow, that's amazing. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot of development. Now, a lot of people that watch and listen to the Kanawha Valley Hustlers like to learn about small businesses, entrepreneurs, things like that. So tell me a little bit about getting started, how you got started. I mean, I'm assuming this is a profitable business at this point. I know that's maybe not as profitable as we want. Nothing ever is, right? But just tell me about going from zero to a functioning business. What was that like?
Sure. I mean, it's tough. And this has definitely been a labor of love here. We are a nonprofit organization, so we are a 501c3. So we are completely reliant on our community dollars. And this has been out-of-pocket expenses for our entire existence so far. Now, we are able to support the basic day-to-day, thankfully. And now as we're continuing to grow, we'll be able to do more into that. But it's been very tough, especially when you go through the growing pains of you need XYZ, but you don't have the budget for ABC. So you end up being the janitor, the marketing development manager, the maintenance guy, the teacher, and the kind of the face of the business. So you really have to wear a lot of hats. But thankfully, like I said, with my staff, they've been able to kind of take on some of the day-to-day operations and really allow us to segment and focus where we need to, which is what is needed for here.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a lot of things going on here, obviously, and you got a great location here at the park. Tell me a little bit about the location and how people can get here.
Yeah, so we're right inside Valley Park. If I always ask people, you know where the wave pool is, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm like, I'm literally right beside the wave pool. So same parking lot, same everything. But being in a county park with a giant playground right beside us, literally in our backyard, and a wave pool to the left of us, and this amazing trail system that's already here, you really can't find a better location for something that we do that kind of moves with our mission, which is to inspire wildlife and environmental conservation through hands-on immersive education. So we can use our entire space, not just what we lease, but nature. And we've got a big outdoor classroom right with our indoor classroom.
And do you feel like kids today are disconnected from nature?
I do in some sense, especially as a father, and I'm sure you can agree with this. Everybody's on a screen, and we're trying to find a hybrid model to find those kids and get them back into nature. So sometimes with this kind of stuff, you have to find them on the screen to get them off the screen. So that's where our guided nature hikes really come into play, and we just basically find ways to get kids and even adults on the trails and just have a new appreciation and a renewed sense of nature, because there are so many mental health aspects that tie in with that as well. So grounding, mindfulness, things like that. And I mean, just being in creation just does something, for your soul.
Well, nothing is more, I tell you, we had a birthday party here earlier this year, and nothing is more exciting than seeing those kids get to touch the animals, animals they've never seen before, learn about them. It's really exciting to see the looks on their face.
It is. And I mean, that's hands-on immersive education. So those are a whole bunch of big words that sound crazy, but it's not. It's like just hands-on, just being hands-on. I always tell people, I'm like, if you want to learn about a tree, do you want to look at a picture of a tree in a book, or do you want to go look at a tree? Same thing with an alligator. If you want to learn about an alligator, do you want to look at a picture of an alligator, or you want me to hold one out to you, which your kids pet the alligator? So it's a lot of fun. And I teach kind of the way that I learn, and I'm a very visual learner, especially after the military. I was injured overseas, and I have a brain injury. So even more so now, I'm very visually driven. So that's how I learn. And I think that this generation learns that way as well. And I mean, this is a very technology-centric, narcissistic way of living. And that's just society as it is. It's always me, 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 me. So if we can find a way to bring science and conservation and learning into that, to have a positive spin on society, it's multifaceted on the benefits from that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's really important. And I personally think that's important to not just sit in a classroom and learn facts and figures, but get out there and meet with kids and be interactive, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the memorize and regurgitate method, it just doesn't work. And that's what I see. That's what I saw a lot, especially in lower grades. So as kids move into upper education, when you've been in that memorize and regurgitate mentality for 5, 6, 7 years, and then you get into a place where it's practical application, they're like, oh, what do I do? So that's why it's so important to grab these kids and find that spark early. And that's what's so cool. We do us doing these shows, and we have kids come in and their parents are terrified of animals, right? But the kids, they're like, yeah, I'll pet, because fear is learned. It's not natural. Fear is learned. And it's just one of those things where, if you can grab a kid early with subject matter that they latch onto and kind of resonate that just because something's different doesn't mean it's scary. If you can instill that from an early age, I mean, that goes way beyond just snakes and lizards and stuff like that. That goes with anything. Right?
Absolutely. And Andy, as we're wrapping up here today, if people are if they're curious about just give us an overview of what people can expect when they come here. What can they do? What can their children do? Why would someone want to come here? Yeah.
So, I mean, this is really a place where you can come do just about anything. You've got not only the park aspect as well, but here at the Zoology Zone, we've got hands-on science exhibits. We've got, all these animals that are not just look at animals. We get the animals out and you can interact with them. We've got a kids zone with an amazing library back here. We've got arts and crafts. We've got a Lego wall, marble maze. We got the playground here. Your admission's good for all day. So if you've got kids like mine that are like, this is really cool, are we done? They can go out, they can play, and they can come right back. So there's multiple different things that you can do here at the Zoology Zone and literally spend the entire day having fun and just really, we have a thing called accidental learning, and that's what we want kids to do. Come in here and accidentally learn something.
Absolutely. That's great. Andy, thank you so much for being on with me today. Thank you all for watching or listening. I hope that you always take the advice of Joe Justice, the Kanawha Valley Hustle. Hustle hard, hustle smart, and hustle with a smile.